See anything that I had to approve.
Yeah. Hey, it's Sean Zinn, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor. With
Matthew Victoria, Matt's your mortgage guy.
how's your weekend, my man?
Weekend was fantastic and hot out, dude. Like it's been crazy humid. It was like 100 degrees out this weekend. So it's like, what do? You stay inside, otherwise you're going to be outside like sweating your
Cojones.
your appendages off.
Yeah, it was. It's the humidity is the problem. I love when they say, "Oh, it's not like Arizona. It's 110 or
Right.
115. It's a dry heat. It's not no 115, 120 is freaking hot no matter what. But
Yeah.
yes, the humidity is the problem we have here. It's just you walk outside. Today is really humid as well.
Well, we got tropical storm Asais. I guess we're catching some of the tailwind of that, but they're saying Wayne, I think rain what Wednesday maybe or something like that, Matt.
Yeah, or tomorrow into Wednesday, I think we're gonna get slammed supposedly. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, it was like you said, it was a hot weekend. It's my 5 year anniversary, so we had some Cuban Pete's, which was and we didn't go there. We had it Uber Eats, so we ate at home. So I definitely enjoy that food. But it was a good weekend. It was nice. Been talking to my other daughter, Madison, consistently. So it's been nice to see her and her communicating with her daughter, her sister, and it's been nice. So it's been the norm, like staying home, and when we go out, we wear masks, But it is the new norm for now,
It really is, and I was going to say that. So first off, great that Amanda has decided to keep you around for so long. So that's nice to see. Whatever you're slipping in her drink every morning, keep doing it. So that's a good thing. Um,
Staying around for sure.
but it's just created a new norm, and masks are kind of part of what we are, and prices have gone up on a lot of different things. Gas ticked up a little bit. Food costs have ticked up. A lot of different things have ticked up now because of the extra money. Like now, when I get my haircut used to be $14. Now he's up to $20 because of all the other stuff he has to do. Do you really think they're going to roll everything back when all of this stuff clears up?
No, they're gonna keep
No.
it. They're gonna be like, "This is the I like this getting $20 haircuts." But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the extra fees they're gonna throw in there to make it happen because of the extra things that they have to do to keep everyone safe. And as long as you follow the guidelines, I'm telling people all the time, wear your mask. I know you don't have to wear a mask. It's not like where in other countries you got to wear certain things. Here, you can do what you want to do, but for the time being, I'm telling everybody, I don't care what you believe in, just wear it because I share with my daughter. You don't want, and this is funny. Schools are starting to go back to school, going back, and they don't realize they're saying, "Well, kids were never affected by COVID." Anyone know why? Because they were all home. They were not at school. They were not out and about. That's the problem that people are not finding and understanding. Go back to school. They need to work. They need to learn. Yes, I agree. But
Well,
they're forgetting kids were not around. That's why they're going to get it. It's scary.
so you really want to you really want to think about something for a second. It's okay to cram 25 or 30 kids in a classroom, but we can't actually eat in a restaurant, right?
Right. You can't go to a movie theater. You
Right.
can't go and enjoy some beers at a bar. But they want to cram kids into, even if it's 12 or 6 kids in a classroom, it's not the same as far as educating a kid. You might as well do it online. And yeah, it might be more work on a teacher, but this is what we have to do. Start recording. Do what we're doing now. This is fun, but actually teach this way as well.
Well, like I said, it's creating a new norm now for a lot of things because everybody's so afraid. Like, we're my stepson's birthday is in a couple weeks, and it's like you invite people over for an outdoor backyard barbecue, and everyone's afraid to do it. So it's creating a lot of new norms for a lot of different things. And to touch upon our conversation, what we're going to have today is the phone calls. You know, a lot of people say, oh, well, when they meet me, they'll love me. All right, well, yeah, but how are they doing that right now? So the phone and the video and the laptop is key to everybody's business right now. If you know, if you're not doing these things, you know, if you're not calling people and reaching out or generating leads on Facebook, whether it be through organic social marketing, you know, commenting groups, things like that. If you're not doing any of those things, you're not going to have business right now.
100%. I mean, the topic we wanted to go over for those that are watching now and on the replay is what should we be discussing during a buyer appointment? And these are key things that we're going to go over, a number of things that should be in this like conversation. And it goes back to having conversations and going deep and not just be surface oriented, being the yes and no kind of agent or salesperson, and actually getting to know the, you know, what they really want in a property. Why would you show 50 homes? Do you like to, I know some people say, oh, I got into real estate because I love homes. I like showing homes. You're a chauffeur. You're basically a key to the door to turning the knob and go ahead, check out the home.
I learned something from somebody who's extremely well versed in a lot of these things. He has about, I think, 20 different real estate offices, and he calls them DDOs, designated door openers.
Yeah.
And you know, he says all you're going to do is if you don't go deep and if you don't curtail this, you're going to wind up letting them control you, and then you're going to start showing them all these houses. And the reason why is because they don't know, right? Like they say, oh, I want to see every house that's out there. Okay, so you want me to show you a $125,000 shack in, you know, in Trenton? No, you know, or do you want me to show you something that's going to be way out of your price range? No. So how do you figure these things out? By drilling down when you're talking to them and asking them questions, because you control the conversation by asking questions.
100%. And there's people that as soon as the phone call comes in, oh, I saw a sign on 123 Market Street. And right away they're like, oh, I can meet you right there, right now, instead of going through a process. Oh, I don't have time for the process. You have no time to not do that. You have to bring people in. You actually have to sit them down. If you're not going to do that, that's the old way today. Jump on a video call. Jump on a StreamYard. Jump on a Zoom call. Jump on a messenger on Facebook and ask questions face to face, eye to eye, computer to computer, not belly to belly anymore. But find out exactly what they want. Do they want a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1.5 bath? Do they want a pool? Why are you showing properties that have pools? Why are you showing properties that are in the woods, in the country, that maybe the wife doesn't want to live in the country? Why would you show that property? You know, my wife doesn't want to live in the country and is very expressive of that. And if you show properties in the country, you're losing one of the two that are in the market to buy a property.
You know, the question list is so important because you need to find out, like, and I'll give you an example. I just spoke to somebody, she's a first-time home buyer, which a lot of times they're the ones that really just don't know and have the most questions. And she is 28 years old. She's got $30,000 saved up. So she's like, oh, I want to buy a house. And income's not great. She's making about $45,000 a year. So they can get her something, you know, but she's kind of limited in what she's going to buy as a single family. So she shows me a house in New Milford or West Milford, $150,000. And I said, okay, go over the payment, whether it works. I said, but have you ever thought about like a multifamily house? Like, what do you want? Right. So then we wind up looking at a multifamily house, and turned out that those numbers work better for her. And that's what she actually really wanted. And that's part of my questioning routine. And if you don't have a question routine, put one together, find one. You know, Tom Ferry's got tons of scripts out there. You know, Keller Williams Bold has, there's tons of scripts out there. But figure out what your line of questioning works better for you. So this way you can make it it's a conversation. It's a real estate conversation. If you're not having that conversation, you're not really, you know, you're not doing the best thing for your client, because they have a fiduciary duty. I love that word, fiduciary. They have a fiduciary duty to do the best thing for their client. So how do you do that? By asking them more questions. If they say, oh, I want a pool. Okay, well, why is a pool important to you? You know, are you ready to maintain a pool? Do you have children? Do you have to worry about putting up a fence around the pool? You know, things like that are good questions to ask. Why is something important? Because the why is very important. A lot of people overlook the why.
So true. I mean, going back to your property in West Milford. Oh, okay, it's 150,000, whatever number that is. But you don't realize maybe you work an hour away now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to travel an hour. You have other expenses. Now your car is going to be in jeopardy because of all the miles you're putting on it. So these are things that have to be in that conversation. And again, we're going back and forth. We're not agents. We've been around lots and lots of agents. We interviewed hundreds of and probably 1,000 agents by now that we see and what they're doing, the best practices. Just last week, I was meeting with Avi Cohen, who is in Philadelphia, monster as far as the rentals. And now he's got a whole team for rentals. He's got a team for residential stuff. He's got multifamily, investment type of properties. And we were on a StreamYard before we were going live. And it kind of, I don't know how the technology, his Zoom call jumped into our StreamYard, and we weren't live yet. And I overheard his agent going into detail. The person was calling on one property, but they were going on over and over of a variety of different properties. Well, what exactly do you want? You called us for a 1-bedroom, but how many kids do you have? Wait, I have to ask about their kids? Yeah, because that's going to go into how many bedrooms someone needs. And if it's an apartment, if it could be a house, some people want to, do the yard work. Some people don't want to do yard work. Like my brother-in-law, he's into like townhouses and condos. He wouldn't want to have a house where you have to do a lawn every single week. So you have to have that conversation because you're wasting your time otherwise.
You want to have better conversations. And how do you do that? By asking questions, right? Just like you just said, for first-time home buyers, well, what's important to you? How old are your children? Because we all know that most people stay in a house 5 to 7 years on a first-time home buyer, right? And I like to use examples because the best thing to do is to ask stories or tell stories, and then ask your questions of why is that important? So if you have small children and you're going to move to an area that doesn't have great school districts, you want to make sure, well, what's your time frame? Because we all know that really, middle school really is kind of the turning point for schools, for children. Elementary school, not so much because they're not corrupt yet and they're all just innocent little kids. So you're okay from K through 5, but once you start getting 6 to 8, if you're in a rougher school district, that's going to be that's going to be important. So are you sending your children to private school? Maybe you can send them instead of, if somebody's paying for private school, maybe you can put them into a nicer school district. So now they save the money on the private school, but they can use that towards their mortgage payment and up their payment range to change their areas. You don't get that unless you ask questions, right? So here's another one. I'm doing a refinance for somebody who wants to buy an investment property. So part of my document collection is collecting tax returns, right? And mortgage statements. I wound up looking at that and started asking them some more questions. And now I'm doing a refinance on his investment property in addition to his primary refinance. Just by saying, hey, are you okay with this rate? That's a question.
And you're going deeper and you're building relationship, you're building rapport, and you have the information in front of you. It's just asking the right things at the right time. It goes back to that phone call someone agent gets off of a call from a sign, and they're like, oh, I'll meet you there. The first thing, they should be finding out if they're pre-approved. That's why I wanted them to really zero in on this type of thing today. If you're not pre-approved, I got pre-qualified, or I got a mortgage quote online, and I hear that, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be in trouble, because not everyone is going to know what they're going to put into the system to spit out a quote for a mortgage, even for insurance. But we'll talk about mortgages now. And they put the information in there, it's just going to spit out an idea, and that's it. They didn't run your credit. They didn't ask for any tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs to really finalize and know exactly what you can afford. This thing called debt to income ratio. I'm an insurance guy. Why do I know this stuff? Because I like to help others. And if I can help others and educate, they're going to remember us when the time comes for insurance, mortgages, real estate, etc. So being pre-approved is huge. What would you like to share on that, Matt?
Well, just to kind of throw in there, when I do, if a realtor sends me a buyer to speak to do a pre-approval for them, I actually go through some of the same realtor questions when I talk to them about the pre-approval that a realtor does too. This way, I can kind of get everyone on the same page, and also, so how many bedrooms and bathrooms did you guys want? What was your budget? Because the budget directly affects where they're going to shop, and also affects the type of house that they're going to get. How much is your lease? When is your lease up? That tells me, are they looking immediately, or are they going to be shopping in 3 to 6 months? Because if their lease isn't up until next year, they shouldn't be going out to really look at houses right now. They're not on a top priority list. Does it mean that they're not a priority? No, it doesn't. But you put them in your 3 to 6 month, right? Somebody's lease is up in October, well, then they should be going out looking now. Their lease is up in February, you still got a little bit of time. How do you figure that out? By asking good questions and drilling down into these things, because that's where you build your rapport, is through the questions. And if you guys don't know what rapport is, Google it and find out, because you really need to know this for sales. It's when somebody can connect with you. That's how you do it. Like, back to your example of the calling in on a Zillow lead. Oh, I'm interested in 123 Main Street in Union. All right, awesome. While I look up that information, were there any other towns that you were interested in the area? That's going deeper.
100%. And then if you're an agent and you're providing value and you're having the fiduciary responsibility for your client, and their close or their lease is up in February, they should be focused on improving their credit score so they can get a more attractive interest rate. That's a goal. If you're an agent, yes, you're going to put them on a different pile, but that's what you're going to put them on, as far as help them with improving their credit score. Get them in front of somebody that can help them with that if you don't feel comfortable doing that. And some people understand how that all works. Some people have not. Use a professional if you need. Spend some money so you can get a better rate. A few $100 here in this position, you're going to actually save thousands of dollars on the differences in interest rates. And yes, the interest rates are really, really low, but there's a lot of people think, oh, I need the lowest. And if 2% was around, and it's not around, I know that for a fact, they want a 2% rate. The difference between like 2.5, 2 3/4 to 2 is probably a couple, maybe a couple, 20, 30, $40 in payment. It's not worth it. But people have that in their mind. I have to have the lowest rate. And the rate is not always what you need. It's the lowest cost. Maybe to get 2%, you might have to pay 2 points up front to get that rate. Who the hell wants to pay 2%? Oh, people don't know what that is either. Oh, what is 2%? Is it discount points, right? So if it's 300,000, that's $6,000 you're paying in points. Hey, if you got the money, go for it.
Well, there's a big lender that likes to advertise, their vehicle gets you out of the atmosphere. So they're notorious for putting discount points into the loan estimate. And they did this to a veteran. They were quoting, man, it was the one that you sent me, the one that was having trouble closing. Mm-hmm. They were giving them 2.75% interest with 2.25 points built into the loan. Like that's ridiculous. I was matching the rate with 0 points. But back to what you were saying, the better question is, why is this important to you, right? Do you want the lowest rate or the lowest payment? So I had a guy that he just came to me, $400,000 he was originally pre-approved for, figured out that can't get him the neighborhood that he wants, right? Because that, once you go to 450, it'll put you into a different bracket, right? So what I wound up doing was, I wound up actually running his credit, seeing exactly what the rate was. And then I said, hey, if we pay off your mortgage insurance early as a one-time single payment at closing, we get rid of the mortgage insurance, saves you $100 a month. You can now put that back into mortgage. So now I upped him to $500,000, and he's comfortable with that number just by asking more questions.
That's important, that being comfortable. A lot of people say, what can I be pre-approved for? That's not the question. It's like, what payment are you comfortable paying for the next 30 years? Every single month for the next 30 years. That's what you should be focused on. Not, I'm pre-approved for a $600,000 house, but maybe you don't want to have a $600,000 house. Maybe you want a little fixer-upper. Maybe you find a diamond in the rough. That's what you should be focused on, is a payment that you can. That's what you're paying for consistently for 30 years. Just like insurance, you're paying the premium consistently for the life of that loan. Whatever that number will be, that's what you're focused on. But also the coverages as well on the insurance front. But
coverages are huge in
yes,
what your cost is.
People try to go cheap, and like goes back to going online. They plug in information. They're not. You don't do a heart surgery on yourself. There's a reason for that. That's why we have professionals that do this, and they spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on their education, so they know what the hell they're doing. Why leave it up to just plugging in whatever you think you're going to get online? Oh, I'm going to get the cheapest rate or the cheapest premium. Yeah, you're going to get what you pay for. And those people always call, and they're always like, I got screwed. And I always say, I'm sorry to hear that. And inside my mind, I'm chuckling because I'm like, wow, I talk about this all the time, but people always love that C word, cheap.
Cheap is not always better. You get what you pay for. And as a realtor, you should be drilling down on questions. And if you're not comfortable asking deep enough questions, that's where you need to practice, right? So get somebody to role play with. This way you can ask questions and deal with rebuttals and objections, because there's two different sides to it. There's one part of it, which is the scripting part. So this way you can start hammering out your script and saying it like a professional with confidence, because people pick up on confidence. And then the other part of it is role playing. So it's scripting and role playing. The other part is role playing, where you handle objections and deal with them. I wanted the cheapest rate. Okay, well, I can give you 2% if you want to pay 3 discount points, but which would you rather have? Do you want the best loan for you, or do you want the cheapest rate? Now, do you have an 800 FICO score and 25% to put down? No, but that's what dealing with objections and role playing. Oh, you know what? Or if you're calling the lead, we're not looking anymore. That's a perfect question, right? That means that's a digging question. So let me ask you something. When you were looking, there's a couple ways you can handle it. When you were looking, what were you looking for? Or what has changed in your situation that has now caused you to stop looking to find a house, which, by the way, you're paying a rent right now. You don't get any benefit out of that. So what caused you to stop looking for something that's going to benefit you? Like, that's the pain right there. You have to uncover the pain and address it.
And the education piece, there's people out there currently, we're August 3rd of 2020, and there's people that think you need to have 20% to buy a house. And if you actually have the conversation and find out more, they can actually afford more, because they're going to put less money down, so that they can now, maybe they're going to be cash strapped, putting 20% down on a property. Now they can actually put less money down. They might have PMI. That's just the conversation you would have. But now you have enough money to furnish your property, do some ins and outs of what you might want to upgrade here and there. But there's questions that have to be said. But there's people out there that think you need to have 20% down. So that's a huge difference, going from either, if you are in the military, there's a 0% down payment with the FHA or VA loans, a VA, and you have the 3.5% on the FHA. And people are like, wow, you can put that least amount of money? Yes, it's out there, but people don't realize it.
Well, here's something to work into your conversation scripting. Are you a veteran? Like, most people don't ask that question, and they wind up going into an FHA or conventional loan, and they could have bought with 0%, zero money down as a military, which, by the way, there's also no monthly mortgage insurance. Like, why would you not want to do that for somebody? Simple question. Are you military? People don't ask that, and when you start asking more of these questions, this way you can get more information and you can really help them better. That's what this is all about. It's like when you walk into a car dealership and somebody says, can I help you? My first thing is, hey, I'm looking for a car just like this. Tell me what you have or what you would recommend. Most people, what do they say? Oh, I'm just looking, right? They lied, because they don't want to be sold. Which people don't want to be sold, but when you ask questions, you're not selling, right? Telling is selling. You don't want to sell, you want to help. So how do you help? By asking questions.
Then you have agents that are working with a buyer, and they're like, oh, I need to have more business. Having conversations with that one buyer you can get recommendations of others in their network that you can work with at the same time. Wait, how do I ask for recommendations? I like recommendations rather than referrals. Recommendations are both your names are on the line, but you can get business from those that are in your pipeline right now. But I didn't close. I can't ask them for recommendations. You can if you're doing your job and you're letting them speak and you're letting them talk a lot more than you're talking, because it's going to be they're controlling the conversation because you're learning what they want. They're going to be like, man, I love Sean. I love Matt. I'm going to give them my hairdresser needs a property. Maybe their postman or woman needs a property. Maybe they're at a restaurant, the waiter or waitress. Yes, they make some money. They might need a property, but you don't even talk to people that are giving your food. So it's comical to me that you have one person, you can get a couple opportunities just from that one that you're working with currently.
Well, just to tag onto that real quick, a realtor that's been working with somebody for 6 months, and 6 months is too long to be looking for houses, right? Like you should find a house within 30 days if what you want is drilled down on and expressed in the beginning. Like a realtor should ask a question: hey, if I find you your perfect house, are you going to put an offer on it? Are you ready to buy right now? If the answer is no, then you know where to put them, right? But going back to asking questions, if you've been looking for 3 to 6 months with somebody, something's wrong. Something is off. Whether it's the price or whether it's what they want, they may have an unrealistic expectation. So you need to readdress that. Hey, listen, we've been looking now for 3 months. So let's revisit your wants and needs and your pre-approval. And let's figure out what's off, because generally it doesn't take this long to find a house. So let's figure out where that problem is. They don't ask that question.
And that controls your flow of business and your pipeline. Having a good flow. A lot of agents they close, and I love this. And how's everything? Oh, I have a couple deals in the pipeline. I'm waiting for them to close. I'm like, well, what are you doing otherwise to get the next piece of business? Oh, I have too much going on right now. I got to focus. If I don't focus, I won't close them, so I won't get a paycheck. But then, all right, they close that 1 or 2 deals this month. Then they're like, oh, shit, now what do I got to do? I have nothing in the pipeline. Now they're pleading with people on Facebook. Does anyone want to buy or sell? And that's all they post. They don't get engagement. And they're in that cycle. It's a constant cycle. You should have flow. You should have consistent leads coming in that you're nurturing so that you have things closing consistently. I want to talk about real quick is I love when they get a pre-approval or they might get a commitment from a mortgage lender. And it says on there, get a homeowner's policy in effect for the closing date. And people will call me and they say, oh, and they'll call me today. And they said, I need it today. Or they need it tomorrow. I said, when are you closing? August 30th. Okay, we have 20 days to worry about. You don't have to get it today. But they're like, no, but I need it now because the mortgage originator needs it to clear the conditions. Those that are watching, the clearing conditions, insurance is the last thing that they need. The other things, right? Maybe they need updated pay stubs or whatever things that might pop up on title. These are issues that have to be cleared before they need insurance. I could write your policy same day. Guys, girls, I can get it done for you. Don't worry. 8 days before closing, insurance policies paid in full for your closing date so that it is confirmed and we go on our day.
The only thing that we really need is a quote to be able to issue a CD, and the quote goes in with the initial for the approval. And then when we resubmit it for clear to close, that's when you need the homeowner's insurance policy all done, invoice and deck page, which may be a week before the closing, 3 days,
right,
before, whatever. But it's usually within that week or so time period right before you close.
So those are, just to clarify, quote, so you can get that into process. And that's not a problem. I can get you the quote. Getting the policy will hold off because sometimes closings are not exactly going to be on that date. Maybe there's a hiccup with a seller. There might be some title issues, things that you'll find out in this wonderful process that we have as far as real estate. It's never as smooth as possible. That's why a mortgage originator, a realtor, attorney are always part of counseling to keep the buyer and the seller in the loop so they're communicated with properly, so there's no hiccups.
Yeah. It's all about the questions that you ask. You control the conversation with questions. You know, put together what you want to accomplish out of your conversation. Practice those questions. Practice handling your objections or asking why is that important. Like that's the thing that a lot of people overlook is the why.
If anyone's watching this now or on the replay, please drop a comment. If there's anything that we missed that you maybe do, drop it in a comment. We would love to see what others are doing in their process for buyers. Again, it's something that everyone should follow. Those that are scaling, if you want to scale your business and get it to the next level because you have those goals, that's needed. So you have to have a system. So we love to collaborate. So if you have anything that we can utilize, drop it in the comments. A reminder, I help anyone with insurance anywhere in the country for homes, flood, and I also do, that's for really our platform right now, home and flood. I package the auto, but I also educate and I make sure that you understand the coverages that are involved in the policy and making sure you at least have a liability piece that's 500,000 and higher. If you have 100,000, that's not really worth. You should bump it up so that you have more value. God forbid someone comes to your house, slips and falls, and puts a claim in against you, and you have some coverage.
You know, for me, we're licensed across the country in all 50 states. I dig deeper. And like I said, I had somebody that was pre-approved for 400, got them up to 500. You know, that's what I do. I want to make sure that I'm measuring twice and cutting once. Where's my money coming from? What does this look like? I want to make sure that we don't have those last minute, oopsie, now you need a co-borrower, or hey, guess what? Your loan's denied, which happens a lot out there a week before closing, and everybody's pissed and everyone's scared. That's what happens. So my job is to ask questions. My job is to find out the story or put the story together for my underwriter. So that's really what we do. We have somebody who speaks Indian, Spanish, and French. So if you guys need anybody, we have about 5 on our team. So this way we can help all of you out, lead generation, whatever it is that you need, we're here for you.
And we hope that you guys, gain some value. And we look forward to working with you. We hope you have an awesome day.
Until next time.